First in high definition. Live, local, late breaking. This is WMBF News Today at 5:30.
Getting ambulances to everyone who needs them is the idea behind a new plan, but we'll explain why everyone isn't supporting it.
Then capitalizing on an important audience, did your local elected officials have the right stuff to convince state lawmakers to give the Grand Strand priority?
And I just got my hands on how well the Caroliners are doing to prevent bullying in our schools. Those rankings are straight ahead.
But first, we've got rain on the radar right now for your very early morning commute. Now, I do have some good news. Excuse me, the rain is starting to fall apart. As we take a look at the South Strand, notice the rain starting to break up a little bit, so we will notice a slow improvement as the morning rolls on. Let's take it down to street level, see what we're dealing with for the Grand Strand first. Notice 501 all the way up to about Conway is fine. Once you hit Conway, you will see some rain, though. And then we're seeing rain from about Broadway at the beach all the way up the North Strand. This is going to continue to push to the north, so if you're in the heart of Myrtle Beach, you're actually going to get a brief break in the rain, but it's not going to be long-lived. We've got heavy rain west of I-95 through Brownsville. Again, this is pushing north, so it's about to cross the state line here shortly and head over to Robson and Scotland County. Our rain risks do start to go down as we go through the morning, so this will not last all day. I'll let you know what your afternoon is looking like coming up in just a bit.
Well, as Marla mentioned, we are dealing with some wet roadways, just really light rain along I-95, 501, and also 17, but those roads are going to be slick. So let's take a look at the roads right now. I-95, everyone seems to be moving along just fine. Also, 501 at Waccamaw Pines is looking okay as well, and 501 at Singleton Ridge, you can see the reflections from those lights on the road, so we can tell that they are wet. Another thing that may slow you down is a little bit of this construction. Now, this is on 52 from Doesville all the way down to Earlwood Park. Now, it's going to cause a delay from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m., so not yet, but you want to be prepared for later on whenever you leave this morning. Now, this goes all the way from Flatnose Road down there to Kirby Drive or to 52 Business. I'll keep an eye on the roads. I'll have another update for you in just 10 minutes.
All right. Thank you, Brittany. Well, you know, Murrells Inlet is a place to boat, fish, and eat. And so local economy, it relies on keeping that area clean. In order to make sure that's happening, local leaders are now stepping in.
So Jenna DeAngelis joining us live once again from that area this morning with a new plan to make sure that the inlet continues to thrive.
Well, David and Theo, it's things like beer cans, cigarette butts, and this water bottle that can put the inlet at risk. And it's not enough anymore to trust people to throw away their trash. So a new plan to keep the inlet litter-free is now underway.
I mean, it's a result of thousands upon thousands of people going through that marsh walk in the high season, and you just have to keep up with it.
Campbell thinks this inlet-friendly business program will help. It's a voluntary program and it's free. The idea is to get everyone to help reduce their environmental impact on the inlet. Murrells Inlet 2020 used other litter-friendly programs like Conway's as an outline to come up with their rough draft. Basically, inlet-friendly businesses will have to meet certain requirements. One of those is meeting a certain amount of action items each business will have to take. Now, I got my hands on that list. It can be something as simple as regularly cleaning litter around each business. Those involved will eventually get a stamp of approval on their business, a sticker naming them inlet friendly. Businesses which participate will get promoted on social media and websites for their commitment.
I can say that best stalwarts of that waterway and the inlet are the owners that sit and look at it, because we don't want to lose that. That's the golden goose.
The program is in the beginning stages, but the group will eventually invite you to make your home inlet friendly as well. Now, the tentative date for the chowder talk is the end of April, and that's when they're hoping to come up with a final draft for this program. Reporting live on the Marsh Walk, Jenna DeAngelis, WMBF News.
Appreciate the update, Jenna. Thank you for that. In an effort to keep you safe during big events or emergencies, Horry County Fire Rescue is wanting to franchise with private ambulance companies. Katrina Helmer joining us once again here in the studio. And Katrina, it sounds like a great plan, but there are a lot of council members that are not so convinced, right?
That's exactly right. Council members at the public safety meeting acknowledged something needs to be done to boost the ambulance manpower, but some worry this required franchise would be too heavy-handed. Horry County Fire Rescue Chief Fred Crosby proposed the county franchise with private ambulance companies, meaning the company's crews would be on call for the county. In return, any call they are sent on, private companies get to bill the patients. While council members admit the added help would be a great relief, forcing a private company into to this agreement is not fair. Council members suggested to the chief he contact private ambulance companies in the area to gauge the interest and then create a proposal for a voluntary program. Council members I spoke with tell me they want to make sure the companies will be responsible for billing patients, because I'm told if the county ends up being responsible for doing the billing, that means taxpayers will end up paying for it in the end. They would like to see a pilot program or a community workshop on the topic first before anything is set in stone. Now, I'm told Chief Crosby is diligently working on this proposal right now, and there will be discussion of some sort on this topic at the next public safety meeting. Reporting live in the studio, Katrina Helmer, WMBF News.
5:35 is your time. An armed robbery suspect in Conway is off the streets this morning. Police say 18-year-old Quashawn Brummel was arrested for an armed robbery that happened in Conway near Forest Loop Road back on January 20th. A UPS driver told investigators 3 men with guns took several items from him, then ran away. Brummel has been charged with armed robbery, kidnapping, and possession of a weapon during a violent crime. 2 other suspects are still on the loose. Call Conway Police if you know anything about this robbery. An Horry County police officer was arrested for DUI. 54-year-old Buddy Ladd Callen is charged with driving under the influence. South Carolina Highway Patrol found him with his car running near a business on Highway 9. Troopers say Callen refused to take a field sobriety test or give an alcohol breath sample. A county spokesperson tells us Callen was assigned to the airport police and was hired in June of last year. This is the second Horry County police officer just to be arrested just this week. Bradley Boggs turned himself in after running from a traffic stop near Murrells Inlet. Boggs was fired last Wednesday. He's charged with reckless driving and failure to stop for a blue light.
A former pastor accused of taking a gun inside the Florence County Courthouse has now been found not guilty. Officials say they found the gun while looking into Archie Evans' bag during a security check back in July of last year. Evans was at the federal courthouse under charges linked to money laundering. Court records show Evans' right to own a gun was revoked after pleading guilty to federal felony charges in January of 2013. This week marks the first time that all Myrtle Beach police officers have body cameras to wear. This while on duty. Officials say there's no question that the cameras will help police officers during investigations by adding evidence to evidence collected at the scene. The video can also help with training officers on how to respond in emergency situations. The cameras cost anywhere from $200 to $1,000 apiece. Myrtle Beach and Surfside Beach Police, the only departments at the moment anyway, with cameras for every officer. Our local leaders in the community brought the priorities of the Grand Strand to Columbia during their legislative reception. Some of the topics discussed included I-73, public transportation, higher education for public and private schools, and funding for tourism and infrastructure. Many saw it as a chance to connect and discuss with lawmakers their positions on different issues. Senator Luke Rankin from Horry County says it's a great way to discuss the issues impacting you.
As the needs that we have, whatever the issues that we're debating, we get to put a local spin on it. Again, whether it be capital needs at our colleges, our funding for our school system, again, across the board, this is a great opportunity.
A lot of local lawmakers and local leaders tell us that they have set up meetings to continue talking about some of these priorities.
We now know who will be the superintendent for Florence District 3. Laura Hickson was hired for the position. Hickson is the current assistant superintendent of instruction for the district. She has worked in the district since 1983. Hickson has agreed to a 3-year contract with a salary of $130,000 per year. She'll replace Dr. V. Keith Callicutt, who will retire June 30th of this year. Ms. Hickson will work closely with him until that time for an easier transition.
And new this morning, school bullying is a serious issue across this country. Right now, we're getting a look at the states which are worst at controlling it. South Carolina came in as the 19th worst state. North Carolina cracks the top 10 at number 9. Wallet Hub says it analyzed factors like bullying incident rates and truancy costs for schools to compile this list. The financial burden caused by bullying is crippling. The National Association of Secondary School Principals says an average public school can take a more than $2.3 million hit in lost funding and expenses because of suspensions, expulsions, vandalism, alternative placement, and lower attendance. Numbers show more than 160,000 children miss school daily in our country because they're afraid of going because they might be bullied. The worst state for bullying in the survey is Vermont, the best, Arkansas. At the live desk, Mandy Knoll, WMBF News.
There are now cracks in the coalition against ISIS as one key ally has pulled out.
Others complain that the U.S. isn't doing enough to stop them. Tracy Potts has more from Capitol Hill.
We need partners on the ground to beat ISIS.
But some of those partners are leaving. Senior defense and military officials now confirm the United Arab Emirates has pulled its pilots from the fight against ISIS because they want more U.S. search and rescue teams closer to Syria in case their pilots go down. Jordan is asking for more weapons.
A lot of this requires important coordination, not just in terms of the work that we have to do with the Congress, but also in terms of the work that we'll do with the Jordanians to ensure that we are providing the actual assistance that they are requesting and that they need.
Anger is boiling over in Jordan after an ISIS video showing their pilot burned alive. Turns out it happened weeks ago.
ISIS is really trying to fracture the coalition.
Jordan isn't waiting for the coalition. They've executed 2 prisoners in retaliation. Ashton Carter, seeking confirmation as defense secretary, tells Congress.
The United States involvement is, I believe, essential. It's necessary, but it's not sufficient.
Some lawmakers are skeptical the U.S. strategy is working.
If you're not winning in war, you are losing.
The U.S. does have support from the British.
We will not stop until the murderous ISIL extremists behind this and their poisonous ideology are eradicated.
But it's not clear that's going to happen anytime soon. Tracy Potts, NBC News, Washington.
Well, you can see the Grandstand in the trailer for Magic Mike XXL. The sequel is expected to hit theaters in July. In between racy clips of the male dancers, the movie invites you to get back to the grind. If you want to see the entire trailer, just head over to WMBFnews.com. It's in this story under our local tab. Meanwhile, new video shows the scene after a small plane crashed into the transmission tower of a television station in Lubbock, Texas. At least one person was killed when the single-engine plane crashed. Officials say it was someone on board. The tower was cut in half and collapsed away from the NBC station. All employees are safe and accounted for. Power was cut to the station and surrounding area. The FAA is on the way to the crash site to investigate.
North Carolina Governor Pat McCrory has now laid out his plans for this year. In his State of the State address, he asked lawmakers to let North Carolina borrow more than $2 billion for transportation and government infrastructure, as well as to keep the promise to raise base teacher pay to $35,000 this fall. We'll have more on his address coming up for you at 6. Mortgage interest rates can't stay this low forever, but is now the right time to refinance? The 2 questions you need to ask first coming up.
And put the blankets back out tonight. Our temperatures are set to drop once this rain moves out. I'll let you know if that cooling trend continues into the weekend coming up next.